Hey everybody, Icy Cat here. This time I'm going to be sharing with you 21 of the best, most hidden, most effective Valkyrie camera spots on the new map Outback to help you control the intel for your team and never get caught by surprise. Before we get to all the best spots for your Valkyrie cameras, I want to take a second to talk to you about my sponsor for this video, Moot.us. These guys have got it all together for gamers, with a huge community centered around pretty much whatever game you play. They help you keep up with the latest on all the new titles like Anthem and Apex, or familiar staples like Battlefield and Rainbow Six. Each game community has a bunch of different sections where you can see the latest discussions, hear from other players, find out the most recent news, or just hang out and check out some memes and artwork. One of its coolest features though is that they make it super quick and easy to connect with other people looking to play the same games you are. Find the perfect teammates for casual or competitive play with Moot's new LFG feature. You can simply choose the game mode, platform, and share your username for a quick and easy process. But it's more than just a hub for the game. You actually level up as you participate with the rest of the community and get rewards for contributing, vote sharing, and more. Find out how to get even more involved in your favorite games by checking out Moot.us for PC or mobile today. Okay, now let's get to the Valkyrie cam spots. Some of these are going to be out in main areas and provide maximum coverage of high traffic areas, while other spots are going to be really well hidden or disguised, leaving the attackers confused as to how they were even seen. When it comes to Valkyrie cams, I always advocate never scanning and tagging on them unless you have to. Cameras are far better observation tools if no one knows they're spotted and start looking for it. It's almost always much better to use your mic to pass callouts than ping the targets if you have the choice between the two. If you do need to tag a target on camera, I recommend immediately rotating to a different camera so the blue light shuts off. That way when they spin around trying to look for it, they at least won't know where the tag came from. Again, I can't stress this enough. A spotted camera does your team no good once it's destroyed. We'll start with a basic exterior camera that will help you out when you're defending the second floor dorms. Doing a quick hop out on this window at the start of the round and then throwing it at this billboard will get it into a good position. If people are trying to push onto the objective from either of these main exterior windows, this is going to be how you're going to keep an eye on that. And again, as long as you're not constantly spotting on them, they won't know where to look for the camera. Break this door down during the prep phase and then shoot out the window for a quick run out. Toss the camera inside, try to get it on the back headrest of that passenger seat. When you go back in, you will now have a great line of sight on the exterior for the garage wall breach. Alternatively, you can use this one. Just hop out and toss this over by this pillar, and then you'll be able to see that we have a similar camera view, and this will give us a line of sight that also shows that same breachable wall, as well as that upper railing above that that leads to the window next to the garage. It also keeps a nice eye on that door over by the ice chest. Now for an on-site camera, this one is really great. You can toss a camera underneath the bed, but there's an inherent problem with it. It's pretty obvious and can be seen without even trying to look too hard. If we wanted to get the same kind of effect but keep the camera completely hidden, we do have a choice. If we break out the floor, as you can see here, we're going to be given a new option to place that camera in a little bit better of an area. Let's run downstairs and take a look. And we're just going to see when we look up at the ceiling here that we now have a chunk of floor ripped out and we can see the underside of that bunk bed. And what we're going to want to do is just open that up a bit and get it on one of the slats underneath the bunk bed where you can see the mattress supports. When you toss it there, you can now see that we can look around the entire site and we can see and tag anybody that's in there. It doesn't matter which bunk bed they might be hiding behind. Wherever they are, you can see them. You're even going to be able to look under here and try to see the camera, and you really can't. If you can get a little bit of a sight on it, maybe, but it's really hard to spot that compared to the other position. And when you look down through here, you can see all the way back into that next room. This is a really great way to keep the site covered. Now, right outside of dorms, you've got this wall of vines that overlooks a stairwell, and this is where we're going to plant this. It blends right into the foliage here, and you've got an interesting thing going on because the camera is mostly concealed, and the movement of these leaves will allow you to kind of see through them sometimes. It is very difficult to spot this camera on the wall of vines. This is one of my favorite variations for the mezzanine rafters up on the second floor. This is one of the most high traffic areas on this map, and this is a great position, and you can see why here. Take a look, and I'm going to freeze this frame. We can see the entire back section of the party room area, the upper deck at the top of the red stairs. Over by the shark, we can even see a little bit of the stairs that lead up around that. We can see the area down below the shark in the front area of the restaurant if anybody's passing through there. You can even see to the door that leads over to the next section of the motel area. Now this one isn't tied so much to this specific light, it's one you can use on any of these kind of lights that have this kind of grill on them. If you toss the camera right in the center there, what's going to happen is it's going to take on the lighting characteristics of the lamp itself. It's almost going to look like it's a light bulb hanging there, and unless it's active with the blue light on, it's going to be very, very difficult to spot. Now that blue light will make it stand out a little bit more, of course, but when it's not actually being used, it looks like it's part of the light. It looks like it's like the light bulb, and it's a great way to blend this in. These lamps are all over the map, so feel free to take advantage of the way that it passes the lighting onto the gadget. These lamps are useful, but in a different way. You can see that it's actually up in this like little mesh cage, and from the outside it looks like it wouldn't be useful, but when you actually get on the camera itself, the way that the field of view warps, you can see directly underneath that mesh, while anybody looking at it doesn't see it hanging as low as it looks like it does when you're viewing on it. Since it looks like it's up inside of that wire mesh, it looks like it's even part of that cage. Now these lights are all over the place, so you can see I'm going to throw this on this other fixture and get a slightly different angle. The same thing, we're just watching the front of that restaurant area, and you can see as I get on this, we've got a great line of sight to be able to watch anything going on in this entire front section. And this camera is going to be very, very difficult for anybody to spot because, again, it looks like it's up inside of that wire mesh that's protecting it. But when you look on the camera, you've got a great line of sight to everything that's going on around you. Now, this one makes the list just because of where we're going to put it. This is the shark, and we can throw the camera right inside the mouth here, and we can take a look around this entire front lobby area, and we can actually see the teeth surrounding the view of the camera wherever we look, and it is just one of the most fun spots to put a camera on the map. Now this next one, we're actually going to hide in the upper section of the wardrobe and take advantage of those little slotted areas that are on the top of the doors. And you can see when we look in the camera here, we can see through those and get a good view of the room. And little variations in placement might allow you to get a slightly different angle or a little bit deeper toss in there, whatever you want. But this camera is extremely well hidden, and anyone trying to come in here and plant the bomb is not going to be expecting to be spotted from that area. Also in the same room, we have a wall of vines that was similar to the one we had before, and it works the same way. You're going to toss that camera in and it's going to pretty much disappear. As you can see, the movement of the leaves around it may give you some different areas that you can see depending on where it gets tossed exactly, but you're going to be able to cover the room very effectively. Now this also works out in the Reptile hallway. If we break the glass here, we can actually toss it through these vines and get a similar effect. This is the only one of these terrariums that works quite that well because the others don't have the vines in front, they're on the back. But as you can see, we get a good line of sight down this hallway as well as the approach to that room and a good view of that window on the left. Now we do have a second wardrobe over in the Bushranger room, and we can use it the exact same way. Just go ahead and throw it up in there, and nobody is going to be expecting to have a camera that deep into the room. And when you look through it, you can see it's covered. You're not going to see this camera unless you happen to be looking at the exact right spot, but it can see the entire room. Now I'm actually going to blow off the top of the reinforcement panels here so we can actually get some double utility out of this. But if we expose this part of the ceiling and toss the camera in, you're going to see that we're going to be able to see anything that is going on in this room. This goes all the way to the door, allows us to see the width of the room, and you can even see into the hallway as people try to run around it or maybe try to breach the wall. You're going to see everything that's going on. Now these speakers are actually destructible, and you can take advantage of that. I'm calling this the Super OmniCam because frankly, I don't know what else to say about it. Look at the coverage you can get out of this. All of these rooms that you can see. Now I've opened up the tops of the walls a little bit with a shotgun to go ahead and give you that access. And I apologize to anybody that might get a little bit motion sick as I pan around here, but look at the panorama you can get from this one camera placement by keeping an eye on all these rooms, all these doors, windows, and entrances, the rotations that can go on through here. It's just crazy. And as long as you're not actively spotting on this camera, nobody is going to know where to even look for the thing. Just taking out the speaker units there and the top of the walls as shown will allow you to have that maximum field of view. But you don't have to destroy the entire speaker. This next one, we can get a little more selective about it. Just by shooting out the one speaker cone, you can now toss a camera in here, and you can do this on any of these speaker units, and it sits inside the housing. Now, while the blue ring itself may be visible if anybody looks directly at it, that's why it's important to not tag on the cameras, instead use your callouts. But look at what we can see here. This is a very high traffic area, and it's kind of protected by the housing that's around it. This is going to help it blend into its environment a little bit more, and when we get off the camera, you can see how well disguised it is when the camera isn't actually turned on. In fact, it almost looks like there's still a speaker cone in there, and you can see that no matter which way you approach it, it's not really obvious as long as that blue light isn't on. In fact, if it is on, many of the approaches, you're not even going to be noticing it because you've got, blind angles when you come in, or from this side, you get the flag that's sort of covering it. So you've got a lot of options there. Now let's head over to the garage. The ceiling in here is interesting in that you can place a camera pretty much anywhere up here and have it be of use. Tossing it over in this section of the ceiling allows you to see into both rooms at once. You're going to get a view of the entire upper deck of that second floor garage lounge. You're also going to then be able to keep an eye on anything that's happening in at least that half of the office that you can see there that isn't blocked by the ventilation units. And when you are protecting the garage area, this is invaluable. You're even going to see people coming up the top half of those stairs. But what about the lower half? You can't see anything that's going on down there. Well, that's where this camera comes in. If you vault up on top of this counter here, you can actually start shooting out the floor. I like to use the Deagle because this doesn't actually blow through the top half of the floor. It's only going to take out that bottom section, which is going to be useful. You don't want to expose the top part. Just keep shooting away more of this until you've decided you've got enough coverage open. And then when you have a camera up here, you can see you've got a field of view that extends across the entire lower half of the garage bay. There is almost no areas where this camera doesn't see, except for off to the side there. And that's where we're going to cover this next camera. This neon sign is actually going to help hide our camera in an interesting way. When you toss it on, that red glare shader is going to disguise that camera. It's going to be very hard to see it in that red glare, the glow that's surrounding those neon sign letters. And you can see then that we've got our final angle covered on the garage, anybody approaching from those doors or window. When the camera is on, that blue ring will stand out against the red lighting, but as long as you're not actively scanning on it, they won't know to turn around and look for it. Now, this one isn't hidden so much as it is very useful. This allows you to do a runout in case they're trying to go through one section of that top dorm area. And so we're just going to toss a camera up here, and that's going to allow us to keep an eye on anybody trying to come in through this door. And when we go around to the other side, you're going to see the way that this winds up being very, very useful. If we come to the top of the stairs over by the shark section here, we're just going to go ahead and sort of pre-break the bottom sections of those boards so we get a bit of a pixel peek. And that will allow us to see anything that's happening. And using a combination of that as well as the camera we've got pre-placed up there, we can see when the time is right to go ahead and break through that window and really surprise anybody that's stacked up on that door that's ready to breach into the dorm section if they're going to go in through that way. A flank from this position is going to be one nasty surprise for anybody trying to make that push. Okay, so now we're back over to the second floor dorm bunk beds, but this one has a bit of a twist. You can see that we've actually opened up the lower half of that wall with the shotgun, and I'm going to show you why. We're going to do the same thing we did before, and again, this is very important to go ahead and make sure we get this on those wooden support slats on the bottom of the mattress, because if you miss and you hit the mattress itself, you'll be too high and this position won't work. But as long as you land it in the right spot, this is going to be useful in a few ways. First of all, notice how much of that stairwell you can see. Anybody coming up those stairs, you are going to have a line of sight on. You can also see anybody that's in the dorms itself. But look, by exposing the wall with the shotgun, we can see the entire laundry room wall side here, as well as down that entire hallway. So take a look at this. We're actually going to go ahead and go over there and see how deeply back we can see. That blue wall back there, that's all the way back here. So if we were going to go back here and take a look down this hallway, we can get spotted through that area underneath the bunk bed, and you can't see that camera at all. There's no way. There's not a chance. Now, for a variation on that, this one is on the other side of that same hatch, so we can go ahead and toss it up here, and now we can see if I go ahead and actually stand in the doorway that leads to the laundry room, I've broken open this part of the wall with the shotgun. If you wanted to, you could even open this up a little bit further. Like if we opened up this back wall, I'm going to use a nitro here, but you could do the same thing with a shotgun blast and just keep it to the lower half so nobody can run through the hole. But this way, now you can see back into that other section too, and that will give you intel if people are running around in that room from this camera. So there you go. Those are 21 of my favorite Valkyrie cam spots on the new map, Outback. Now, of course, I know that this means that there are more spots than just these that are good to use. There's plenty of others too. In fact, if you want to share some of your favorite ones with me, let me know down in the comments below some of the spots that you've found. There's still definitely a lot more to learn about this map, and I will be doing more videos regarding other tips and tricks for other operators and gadgets. So make sure, if you haven't already, that you like and subscribe. Click that notification button so you're alerted as soon as new videos become available. You can also follow me over at IcyCat25 on either Facebook or Twitter. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.